Today we're going to talk about the volume of a sphere. Again, it's the last formula that on your green paper that we haven't looked at. The formula for the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Again, the green paper will be provided for you, so you don't have to go ahead and memorize something. But there is our formula. And then we're just going to use this. Notice that we're going to leave our answer in terms of pi. And watch out. Are you given the radius or are you given the diameter in a problem? That's the big question. And on this particular problem, we are given the radius of 18. And we're going to fill that in. The volume is the 4/3 pi r cubed. So we need to look at least on the calculator, where is the cubed button? And then make sure if you don't know where the cube button is on Desmos, that you ask your teacher. But once again, we fill this in. 4/3 pi r cubed. This is going to be 18 cubed this time. And when we type this into the calculator, what I'm going to type in, and even in Desmos, 4/3 times 18 cubed, and then I'll leave the answer in terms of pi. 4/3. You don't have to have a fraction button. 4 divided by 3 times 18, and then you're going to use the caret button, which is underneath the pi, and then to the third. So that's going to give us this number here. And once we've got that, our volume is 7,776 pi. Again, it's just a matter. Are you given the radius? Are you given the diameter in the picture? And we have a volleyball here. And it kind of showed up just as a gray ball on your paper. But it says that the diameter is 21 centimeters. So we're given diameter this time. But once again, we need to know the relationship between diameter and radius. So our radius is half of 21, which is 10.5. Type it into Desmos, type it in your calculator if you need to. And then we use our formula. Volume equals 4/3 pi times r cubed. So we're going to have a decimal in this. Round to the nearest hundredths, our directions say. When we type it in, I'm going to type in 4/3 times 10.5 cubed, and then I'll put the pi back into the answer. Although it says round to the nearest hundredth, so I don't even need to do that. But here's what I'll type in since I just wrote it. 4/3, 4 divided by 3, times 10.5 cubed. Again, the caret button, it'll be in red on the calculator. Cubed. And arrow out of it, since we're going to write the answer to the nearest hundredth, we're going to type in our pi. It's easier to type in pi on Desmos than it is here on the calculator, but second, and then the caret button gives us the pi. And then we'll get our answer that we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So we're going to look at 8 to determine what to do to the 4. And since 8 is 5 or higher, we're going to make this 4849.05. Our units on this one, centimeters cubed. Problem number 3. And actually letter C. Leave answer in terms of pi. But what we have on this one is we have half of a sphere. And that is called a hemisphere. Hemisphere, if I can pronounce it correctly. So we're still going to use the volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. But then when we finish, I'm going to divide my answer in half. divided by 2. That's how I approach it. So I don't want to come up with a whole new formula. Once again, when we look at the picture, we need to determine, do we have a radius? Do we have a diameter? In this one, we have diameter. Our diameter is 24. So our radius is going to be half of that amount. And now that we know that, we're going to put that back into the formula. So it's going to be 4/3 pi times 12 cubed. It's going to do that. I know there's a divide by 2 in a couple of minutes. When I type it into the calculator, because it does say leave answers in terms of pi, I'm going to type in 4/3 times 12 cubed, and then the pi. So 4, need parentheses, 4 divided by 3 times 12 cubed, caret to the 3rd power, gives us this number here, which is 2304 pi. And hopefully I'm writing that down correctly. And then, though, remember it's a hemisphere. It's half of a sphere. So we need to divide that value by 2. And now we'll have our actual value divided by 2. So our volume of our hemisphere is 1152 pi. And then our units are feet cubed. So lastly, a baseball has a circumference of 9 inches. So it's given circumference this time, so we might need to look back at our paper to refresh our memory on the formula. And then it says, what is the volume of the ball? Round to the nearest tenth. So let's start with our formula of circumference. And on our green paper, it's 2 times 5 times r. And what we know here is since the circumference is 9, we want to figure out eventually what the ball is, but we're going to use that value to figure out our radius so that then we can go back and figure out what the volume is. So circumference is 9 equals 2 pi r. And again, what we're trying to figure out is what is r? So we're going to divide both sides by 2 pi. Notice that our directions say round to the nearest tenth. But we're going to type that in. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Pi divided by pi is 1. It's going to leave our radius over here to the right. So we type it in. 9 divided by parentheses, if you're not using Desmos, 2 pi. 2 pi. Be really careful on that one. And if you do have a modern calculator, you might be better off just doing alpha y equals with the fraction button, or using Desmos because it will do that for you. But 9 divided by 2 pi gives us that answer. So if you have a fraction button, again, alpha y equals. You don't have to have a fraction button, but you do need the parentheses. Gives us 1.4. So our radius is 1.4. Looking at the 3 to determine what to do to the 4, because it says round to the nearest 10. And now that we know that, then we need to go back and figure out, well, what is the volume? So when we look at the volume, our volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. I'm going to take that value and put it back in there. So the volume is 4/3 times pi times 1.4 cubed. And we're going to type it all in because we want to round to the nearest tenth. So we type it in. 4/3. 4 divided by 3 times pi, I don't really need a parentheses in there, but oh well, times, again, our 1.4 cubed is going to give us this, the volume of the ball. We're going to round to the nearest tenth, and when we round to the nearest tenth, what we're going to end up with, we're going to end up with 11.5, and again our units are inches